Chapter 17 Monster of the River. 2, 3, 4, 5, and even more long rods appeared to shoot out from the newly formed canyon. As the rods slid more into focus, it was apparent that they were monster-sized tentacles, waving in the air with a grayish-blue accent. The river water splashed with turbulence. Zayak remembered Sulliway's warning when they chatted over the bidding phone. There was a tentacle monster in the river, and now the crew had to face off with it. Drawing his sword, Simone looked over at Isaac. "I don't think we have a choice, Zayak. Stay back." Isaac nodded and extracted his sword. "Zayak, do you mind watching me, Cotton?" Zayak, at first, was too distracted to hear what was being said. He caught the tail end of Isaac's request. For a moment, it didn't make sense to him. Reality snapped in place as Zayak responded. "You want me to take Cotton?" "Take Cotton now and run!" Isaac yelled as he shanked the nearest tentacle with his long blade. Meanwhile, Simone bolted up to the tentacle adjacent, sprang up, and lacerated the tip. Breathing deep, Zayak snatched Cotton from the edge near the newly formed cliff. Zayak hugged Cotton like a football player trying to score a home run. Abruptly, a long tentacle extended and wrapped around Zayak's waist. He was swung into the air, and with Cotton tucked safely in his shirt. Zayak felt his ribs being squeezed. His bottom flipped up into the air as another tentacle poked him in the leg. "Ah, stop it!" Zayak yelled at the monster. His hands free, he used his knuckle rings to punch at the whip. Simone paused for a breather after finishing off one of the tentacles. His lungs burned like fire. Hearing Zayak's cry for help, he rushed to the scene. "Zayak, no!" Simone, infuriated, gained enough momentum to quickly take down his next opponent. He carved it left and right. The tentacle had a spasm before it released Zayak. Down tumbled a piece of tentacle flesh. Latching on to Zayak, Simone flew up high and back away from the danger. "Zayak, you need to stay back," enforced Simone as he charged the next tentacle. Zayak had no time to respond. He sighed and said out loud to himself, "I wish I could fight too." He peered down at Cotton, who blinked with wide pupils. Zayak gave in. Now wasn't the time. He fled from the battleground. In the distance, Isaac taunted a tentacle, then guarded as he did double rounds and rakes until it was defeated. As more and more tentacles toppled into the riverside, one tentacle surmounted the rest. This was the head of all the tentacles. It was wide, and even had what appeared to be a grotesque human face embedded into it. The tip laid back as if it was a type of headgear. It opened its mouth to reveal a ring of razor teeth. "I had enough of this," Simone bellowed as sweat rolled down his face. He turned his head and spat, gripping his sword tight, ready to face off. Isaac, exhausted, lingered horizontally to the left, his sword drooping to the side, his clothes soaked in sweat. Winding his sword, Simone concentrated on the task at hand. "We can't take much more of this. We need to end it now," Simone thought as he looked back at his friends. The monster lunged its monstrous head forward, using it like a hammer. Isaac sprang back as Simone launched himself at the beast full throttle. He leaped over the beast's head and plummeted his sword into the back of its cranium. A splintering scream was heard from the monster. It swayed back and forth like a bucking bull before falling face first into the sand. Suddenly, its remains imploded into dust. That was the end of the river's tentacle monster. Zayak ran for the two men and joined next to Isaac's side. "That was bloody awesome, ha ha! Now you have me talking like that." Isaac laughed hard and fell to the ground, catching his breath. "Aye, that it was, mate. If you ever want to join my crew, Simone, and Zayak, you are most welcome. Now, how's me little Cotton?" Cotton poked its head out of Zayak's shirt and wiggled its tiny ears. "Daddy, you're okay." It leaped out of the shirt and landed on Isaac's shoulder. It gave Isaac's cheek a big cuddle. Zayak asked, "Where's Simone?" "That I do not know, mate." In the pile of sand near the shore, Simone was digging his way out. He choked on sand as he breathed in, "Help! I need aid!" He gasped with one hand raised to the heavens. Zayak quickly ran to Simone's aid and pulled on his arm. Simone collapsed on his side, constricted by the substance. His face now turned bluish-purple. His hand reached out to Zayak and gripped his clothes tight for help. Zayak leaned down and inspected Simone. "Isaac, come quick. Simone doesn't look so good." Zayak tried to pump Simone's chest. "Breathe, man. You have to breathe." Hearing Zayak's plea, Isaac came to his assistance. "He doesn't look too good, mate. What happened?" Simone's eyes were rolling back. "There is sand or something in his lungs," Zayak cried, as he pumped Simone's chest harder. "I know, mate. Imagine all the sand leaving through his mouth." Zayak stopped and stared at Isaac briefly. "Maybe that'll work." Zayak closed his eyes and mentally tried to search Simone's lungs. He pictured in his mind that he, like a magnet, could attract the particles to himself and out of Simone. A minute went by. Suddenly, particle by particle started slowly ascending from Simone's lips like wavering strings. Zayak opened his eyes and watched. "Simone, Simone, speak to me." A stranger's voice was heard. "Maybe you should bring him to the Pharaoh." "Who said that?" Zayak asked as he saw a long cobra slide up to his face. "Me, Diamond Tail." It flickered its tail and it sparkled. "Are you the one who sent the monster after us?" Isaac inquired. The snake slithered in a circle with a matter-of-fact tone. "The monster has been in that river since before the Pharaoh claimed his place." Zayak remembered Selaway's warning about this snake and what one bite could do to them. Zayak checked on Simone's condition. Isaac sighed. "He's not breathing, mate. Can you help us?" Diamond nodded and lifted its diamond-orbed tail. It glowed, and suddenly a portal had formed. "Carry him to the Pharaoh. Surely he can fix this problem. He controls almost everything in this realm, sort of." "Thanks, mate. We really appreciate this." Isaac started to lift Simone up. "Zayak, could you help me get him into me back?" Zayak lifted Simone over his shoulder. "No, Isaac. I'll try to carry him. He is my best friend, after all, and he saved me by sticking his neck out for me countless times." "I understand, mate." Giving a nod, Isaac started to follow Zayak through the portal. "Wait a minute, Cotton. Get your fuzzy tail over here." He hesitated and looked over for Cotton. Cotton was perched on his opposite shoulder. It giggled. "I'm right here." "Oi, I'd lose me head if it wasn't attached." "Come on, then." Through the portal we go. As Isaac was the last to enter the portal, it closed like a blink. The group found themselves walking through a sandstone archway leading them to a place surrounded with pyramids. They finally reached the pyramid cluster. The structures appeared stories high. Pillars stood in a row down their path as the biggest pyramid towered before the group, like a skyscraper. The crew's hope for Simone rested with the Pharaoh.